Hi, I'm Seamless, and this is recap video number 3 of my random sound design streams. Today I decided to focus on merging metal and EDM, or at least trying to. In the past, I've sort of explained whatever. I'll just play what I have, what I got right here, then I'll start explaining what happens. It's kind of loud. Playing in 3, 2, 1. Yay. So, like I was going to say before I realized that I should play this, generally speaking, when I approach the idea of that metal and EDM hybrid, usually neuro, because it's what I like doing, I'm either doing an EDM track with metal like filler, or I'm doing a metal track with EDM filler. It's not really like crossovers. It's kind of like cameos, and it could work. I've done reasonable attempts at that kind of make that work out, but I wanted to see if I could actually get more in there. Turns out no, not really. This track is still more of that, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to figure out a way to design interesting guitar sounds that could also mesh well with interesting electronic sounds, because if you play just a guitar, I think it's over here. It's a pretty regular, metal guitar sound. When you combine the way that we mix metal guitars and everything else together in metal, means that a lot of things kind of have a sort of a dulled edge. Like there's not a lot of high frequency content. It's usually so that they could fit in vocals and the drums and sometimes leads and solos and kind of thing. But in EDM, everything else has such an unbelievably huge amount of high frequency content in comparison that it sounds just too dull. It sounds way too dull in comparison. So I did beef up a little bit of the high frequencies in this. And this tone, by the way, is just one of the presets in Guitar Rig 5. It's wide ramifier without the wide. It's without the twin reverb that shows up when you get it. But the real fun got to be when I was layering everything else with it. Trying to figure out stuff to put underneath it and how to color it in such a way that it sounds like it belongs with the metal content. That's this guy. This is the base of the track. And what I've got it doing is I have it actually going in the 2 channels. One channel is just the side chain where everything's being side chained, and then the other one is a version of the guitar's distortion. As it turns out, this is actually not unlike how you mix actual metal bass guitar. When you're mixing metal bass guitar, usually what you'll do is that you'll mix it, you'll have the actual bass tone, and then you have a copy of the bass tone that runs it through whatever the distortion that guitar was using. You EQ it in a certain way so that the disastrous low frequencies that get distorted don't end up in there. But the point of that is that it ends up meshing really well with the guitar tone. And that's precisely why I did what I did here. I have the bass sound. Which, by the way, another sort of decision about what you'd want to do when you're making a track like this is how low you want to go. Most metal that I listen to is pretty low tuned, and just in comparison to regular just music in general. A standard guitar tuning is E, A, D, G, B, E, and that's just low string is E. My guitar tuning is C, G, C, D sharp, G, C, which is open C minor. Now C is what? 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps lower than that, lower than E, and it's pretty low. And you can look at it, when you see the sub coming out of the bass here. it's pretty freaking low. Like, that's like 30 something. Most people cut that out, you know, of their tracks. And actually most metal producers do. There's not a lot of sub bass in metal, but there's a lot of sub bass in EDM, so we're kind of just going with it. So down there with the guitar tone. And you see there's actually this automation going on here. I've actually got a peak controller reading the input of the original bass patch, and I'm applying it to the volume of the distorted guitar patch, because if I don't do that, you get that happening because of the much higher like volume signal going into something that's not designed to be really having that. I mean, I could attenuate if I wanted to, but I also kind of like how it sounded. I just didn't like that tail. So now the other thing I got going on is this thing. This is one of my usual sort of FM deals, but the difference between this and normally is that I'm not actually using it as a bass. I'm using it as a guitar reinforcement. It's at the guitar's pitch level, which is 1 octave higher than bass level. And it's there to kind of give an electronic edge to the guitar, which is kind of a weird thing to say because A, it's electric guitar, and B, metal is a very electronic genre, but you know what I mean when I'm talking about it. Now the other thing is that when I was doing this automation to go with the chugs, I actually had to heavily edit the chugs to go with the automation. And this isn't something that you would normally have to do when you're doing regular metal for 2 reasons. One, I would just play the part over and over again until I got it perfectly. But 3, the idea of how perfect that needs to be is super duper lax in comparison to electronic dance music. Any kind of synthetic synth-based programmed music, because the perfection is perfect. It's completely perfect. And any deviation from that is ultra noticeable. So I heavily edited the guitar part that I recorded to align with the grid, so that when that kind of stuff happened, it actually hit properly. Of course, it also helps that everything's being sidechained. So even if it is a little bit off, the sidechaining helps to sort of force the rhythm. There's not much else going on here. This is me trying to do some new section, but the bulk of how everything sounds is from here. So basically, what I want to present when I'm sort of looking at this stuff is sort of the mindset you need to be in when you're trying to merge metal and EDM, because it's not just about putting guitars that are distorted in a track. It's not just about putting bass that's dubsteppy in a metal track, because we have to think about what it is about the genres that we think of in our brains when we remember them, how it feels, and then like engineering wise, what about either of them lead to that decision. I'm still not as good at, say, Cell Dweller at making this stuff work out, but I am kind of building a kind of a style for my own self in terms of turning, you know, metal and EDM together. It can be kind of fun. Anyway, if you are not totally sure what I'm doing, this is being live streamed. I basically started streaming and I made all of this from scratch. It's sort of a exploratory research in designing metal and EDM merge, like crossover style, like sound design. And this recap video is a recording of everything that as me going over everything that I did, because I'm not going to put up a 4-hour YouTube video. If you want to see these things, follow me on Twitter and Facebook or Twitch, so that whenever I go on, I'll announce it, and then you'll also be notified of when I go up. So eventually there will be a regular actual like daily schedule where you can, you know when I'm going to go on ahead of time. That's not quite happening yet because I haven't figured out what's up with that. When I do, though, there'll be big announcements about all that everywhere. So yeah, if you have any questions about any of that, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day.